Hey, good morning. It's Edna Keep here live with Mindset Monday. So I hope everyone had a really good long weekend. We just had a really good long weekend. It was a blast. Today we are talking about dream bigger. I think that is a really important topic because you know what I find is as I've learned over the years is dreaming bigger is no harder work than dreaming small. So, hey, good morning, TJ. Nice to see you on. Dreaming bigger is about getting to the point where you're excited about your life on an ongoing basis. When you think about getting your first job, like that's pretty exciting, and getting it in a field that you love to be part of, that's pretty exciting. But as time goes on, I just find that you really need to dream bigger to keep yourself motivated and excited. This weekend, we had a one-day mastermind with our mastermind students, and we talked about that. We talked about some of the ways that we can scale our business and make it bigger in a very short period of time. So as most of you know, we're sitting around 60 million in real estate right now. And then with some of our team members added on, because I include my mastermind team in there, we're probably closer to about 130. And so we're talking about ways that we can scale what we already have. And one of our mastermind members was recently meeting with some other, higher. I'm not going to say higher income people, just some people with some different ideas. And a few things that came across our desk was, why don't we take what you got, your portfolio, and move it into a REIT, or start your own REIT, and then which is a real estate investment trust, which is actually sold on the stock exchange. Or a limited partnership, talk like that. So there's different ways that a person can take and scale what they already have. So in this case, we talked about, primarily we talked about limited partnerships and how that can work with us, and how we can take what we have and really scale. So there's a lot of money out there looking for a home. People are tired of the stock markets, the ups and downs of it. They want to earn some good, solid returns on their money. There's a lot of people that, they've managed to save a certain amount but I honestly think that you cannot save your way to wealth. You have to grow your money. You have to maximize your strengths. You have to utilize, other people. You have to team up with other people to really be able to scale anything that you have. So in this case, if we put our portfolio with a couple other people's portfolios, then, we're over 100 million. We never actually went through the actual numbers, but just going off the top of my head, what I know everybody in the room owns, like I said, it's probably closer to 130. Well, that allows you to scale. Now you can, get management that costs you less. You can have the programs in place like, Buildium and stuff like that, who helps you manage your tenants and your payroll. You can have bookkeepers in place. You can have operations managers in place, different stuff like that, it's just more and more and more of a business every single day. And a lot of this is coming to me through, I think I was telling some of you that I do my own business coaching. Like I go off to a mastermind every quarter. My next one is actually the first week of December. And that's all we talk about is how do we take our already successful business and make it a multi-million dollar a year business. And there's so many different levels of scaling that. And what I find really interesting is every walk of life is in that room. Like we've got doctors, we've got lawyers, we got marketing people, we have home organizers, office organizers, organizing your life organizers, we have somebody who outsources nurses around the world. There's just so many really great businesses out there, and everybody in our group is looking to scale. So even just taking some of their ideas really opens the door for us and makes us think about something different. Because, you're working in your business all the time and you're kind of, do your day-to-day stuff. And getting away and getting out and into a mastermind just puts you around people that are thinking differently, thinking bigger. And that's the part that I wanted to really dive in today about, was dreaming bigger and what that can mean to you. You know, a lot of people think, well, you know, if I take and put my investment capital into a bank account, I can earn, you know, 2% a year, and that's going to grow and that's going to compound and da da da. But what if you could earn 8% on that money, or 12? And a lot of people instantly think, oh, that's too high risk. I can't handle it. I can't do that. But you know what? Yeah, there's some risk involved. But again, we talk about real estate backed by good, solid assets where, you know, no matter what happens in the market, we're looking at like a 3% inflation. That's rent increases, that's expense increases, that's tax increases, that's everything. But real estate really keeps up with inflation, which to me is one of the biggest things you got to think about, because if you take and put your money in a GIC type thing, you're actually going backwards every year. You're paying interest on the or you're paying taxes on the interest that you earn. So then therefore each year your principal reduces. In real estate, that doesn't happen. So how can we take, and I want you guys to ask this yourself, how can I take what I already have and massively scale it? Because there, you know, I see marketing every day where it says this guy took his $30,000 and built it into a $30 million real estate portfolio. Well, how does that happen? Well, you know what? I train people on that. I show people how you can do that. We started with some equity out of our home, and even this weekend we talked about this with the students. We had no idea, was not even on the radar, was not even a goal to own 500 doors at some point. Just wasn't even thinking about it. As a matter of fact, I had a partner at one point that kept talking about having 300 doors. And I used to think, buddy, get your feet on the ground. You're never going to own 300 doors. Like, that is pie in the sky. I remember thinking that 11 short years ago, or maybe even 8 or 9. But as we keep plugging away and plugging away and plugging away, and in each time allowing ourselves to dream a little bit bigger, dream a little bit bigger, dream a little bit bigger. It's a progression. A lot of times you can't go from here to here overnight. Usually, some people do. Tony Robbins talks about some people just making a split second decision, and then, you know, their life changes in the next year. I found that in my case, it was a slower progression. So personal development's involved because, you know, you might be able to go and actually do a deal and make that kind of money. But if your personal development isn't there, I don't believe you're going to keep it. I think that's why so many people experience bankruptcy. So they figure out the money making part of it, but they don't figure out the rest of their life, and they lose their family and they lose their health, or sometimes they just lose their money. And I've heard many cases where people have, you know, built up this multi-million-dollar business and then lost it all and started all over again. And the key there is just don't quit. Does a dream work out every single time? Probably, maybe not always in the way that you think. Like, you might think, you know, I'm going to go get this job and I'm going to make this money and I'm going to put this money away and my family's going to do this and my family's going to do that. And then life gets in the way and maybe somebody gets sick, or you get laid off from a job, or your investments don't turn out as well as you want. The biggest key there is, you know, just keep doing something. Put one foot in front of the other. You know, there's times even now when we wonder, holy cow, what are we doing? And you know, we're really shooting, we're growing. We've grown a lot this last year, you know, almost 200 doors. If I look at like the calendar year from last year at this time a year, that's a lot. You know, before that we had like, you know, 320 and now we're at 520, you know, like it's incremental, but what we're noticing is it's bigger and bigger all the time. Like this next deal that we're working on is 79 units in one deal. And we did do one before at 144 doors in one deal, but most of our deals have been smaller, 12, 24, 36, 40 units. Those are getting to be more and more consistent. And now there's some larger ones in there. So if you allow yourself to dream bigger, it opens doors. It opens your mind to the possibilities of what's out there. And being around like-minded people is so huge there. I see this happening all the time, and it could be your own spouse that's holding you back. It could be your family members who you love and respect that are holding you back. Now, do they mean to? Absolutely not. They don't mean to. They mean to protect you. A lot of times, like I remember as a young person, our family was awesome. They loved us immensely. But again and again, they would tell me to get my head out of the clouds and get my feet back on the ground and get to work. And, it doesn't always work like that. There's rich people out there, but most of us aren't. And if I would have sat back and just listened, I probably would still be in the same lifestyle that my family were and my parents were. But myself and a lot of my brothers have really decided to change their lifestyle, and we have. And I find that exciting. Some days you get up and you realize the stuff that you're working on is actually quite scary. If you stop and think about it, it's scary taking on new deals and bigger deals. And we took on a land development project. And I remember a few years ago saying, land development is one of the riskiest investments you can get into. And it still could be, but you got to take it one step at a time. You have to surround yourself with people who've done it, not just people who've dreamed about doing it and have heard of other people doing it, and they jump in and think, well, how hard can it be? We'll just figure it out. No, there's steps involved. There's you've got to mitigate your risks in many different ways. So you have to dream big, but be around people who've done it so that they can share with you the downsides that could happen if you don't watch, if you don't do this, if you don't do that, if you don't do every single step in the process that they learned and they did, you skip a few. Well, those few steps that you skip could be very, very crucial to your success. So my biggest thing that I've learned over the years is be around people who, first of all, are willing to dream big with you, and help you maintain that. Because like I said, when we get out in the real world, we go back to our jobs, we go back to hanging around with our family, and you tell them what you're doing, and again, they don't mean to, but they're pulling you down, going, you can't do that. You can't do that. How many people out there do you think can do that? So being around like-minded people that can share with you, yeah, I friggin' did it. It's not a dream. Is it easy? No, it's not easy, but this is what you need to do. That short circuits your learning curve. And another reason why I've had a coach myself since 1999, I always am working with actually several different people at some time, even if they're not officially called a coach. Sometimes it's just a book I read about something that worked for other people. A book that I read yesterday, I found it on Facebook. I'm scrolling through Facebook as we're watching this really stupid movie last night, and I come across this ad, smash your comfort zone by taking cold showers every day. And I thought, that sounds interesting. So I've heard about the power of taking cold showers every day and tried it a few times, and it's like, oh, I don't like cold showers, But this guy had overcome addictions and lack of energy, and he lost weight and overcame depression and anxiety. And he attributes most of it through this daily cold shower activity. And I thought, because I was kind of the highlight of the book, and when it said you can buy it now on Amazon for like 99 cents, I immediately went over and bought it. And I think I'm half done reading it already. It's only like a 45-minute read. I laid in bed last night, and after we turned this stupid movie off, and finished reading that book. And Well, did I get up this morning and have a cold shower? No. It's cold here. It was the last thing I wanted to do. But I'm going to finish reading the book and see what it says, you know. So I'm learning from everybody. Do I know where that guy is financially in his life? No idea. But he overcame depression, he overcame anxiety, both things that I've struggled with in the past. I haven't for a really long time, but I always feel like you never know when that comes back. I need every tool in my toolbox to help me with that kind of stuff. And it can help me teach other people too. So I had heard the cold shower thing from, I think it was Rock's group. I think they challenged each other to these cold showers. And I reached out and I said, what's the deal with cold showers? And they kind of give me like a two line highlight, which made sense, but not enough sense for me to actually do it. I tried it a couple times and went, oh, that's way too cold, especially in Saskatchewan winters, right? But, you know, one of the things that he pointed out early in the book was, you know, just because you have a cold shower doesn't mean you're going to be cold the rest of the day. That's kind of how I was thinking. Oh, I'm going to be freezing the rest of the day. He says it actually helps you be warmer the rest of the day because it increases your thermogenesis or something. I can't remember the wording. But I was like, oh, well, that's interesting. So I'm not going to be sitting at my desk freezing the rest of the day. Well, okay, I got to finish reading this book. So though I consider those people my mentors as well. Every book I read, every course I take, every time I do courses, I learn something from the people in the group. That's just amazing. Like I brought one of my partners in for the mastermind, a guy that we do a lot of work for out of Calgary. And we gave him our idea. George did a presentation on the REIT and the limited partnership. And next thing you know, he's got lawyers to introduce us to and people who've actually done this and done them and run them for a long time, as well as people in the process of doing them, not just in real estate, but in oil and gas. So all of a sudden, something that, you know, 2 weeks ago, it was like just something we're starting to think about. Now it's like, wow, you know, within 2 weeks, we're going to have a meeting with one of the top lawyers that does this kind of stuff. So does that scare us? Yeah, it scares us because it's like, okay, it's changing our business model from what's always worked to doing something slightly different. Is it gonna work as well as what we're doing? You know, like you doubt and you ask yourself all these crazy questions. And if I just sat at home and allowed myself to think that way, a person could very easily spiral down to not getting any done. Well, that sounds like too much work. That sounds like, you know, because the first time you hear about it doesn't sound like that much work. Then you start digging into a bit and it's like, oh yeah, that's a lot of work. But you know what? That's also why not everybody does it. So does it work? Yes, it works. But you got to work it. So how much work do I want to put in to do that? So then you start looking at all that kind of stuff and it gets scary. And you just have to walk through that fear. Somebody actually interviewed me on a podcast the other day and he said, Edna, do you find yourself scared a lot? And I go, you know what, I do. There's things that we take on, you know, larger projects, and we're working through something that's in CCAA protection right now. Like, it's all a little scary because it's all a little bit out there that we haven't dealt with before. When we come out the other side, we can see how lucrative it can be, but going through the steps in the meantime are scary. Going through the steps of setting up the limited partnership are scary. You know, now he's talking to like we like our lawyers, they don't charge us too much. And now you start thinking about what the legal bill could be on that. That's scary. You know, and of course you got to come up with that first to make it happen. So when you start putting out those kind of monies, then again, yeah, it's scary, but those are the things that you do to scale. So my challenge to you this week is, you know what, dream bigger. Start thinking about, you know, you may have 1 or 2 houses. What would it look like if I added 24 units to my portfolio this year? Like, what would that look like? What would that do to my finances? How would that change my life in the next 3 to 5 years? You know, I always say, like, 1 house can change your life, but you know what? 24 units, if you let it work for you and don't get scared about all the stuff that happens in the meantime, which it does, then you let it work for you, it's gonna work for you. And that's the part that a person has to get through. It's not the buying that's the hardest part. Well, sometimes buying your first building is the hardest part, but believe me, if you think the hardest part is actually buying the building and lining up the investors, I'm here to tell you it's not. It's managing that deal to make it work no matter what, through good times, through bad times. Sometimes you're going through a down market and you just got to get out there and you got to attract good tenants and you got to keep good tenants and you got to get rid of the bad tenants, and you got to be dealing with the bankers and the lenders, and you got to be paying your bills and all that kind of stuff. And if you just focus on that minutia that you're working in, the shit that's going on, you don't think bigger. So I challenge you this week, take some time, make some notes, journal on it, meditate on it, and think, okay, I'm here. Where would I like to be in 5 and 10 years? And then, maybe it's pie in the sky. Like I remember saying to my partner, or not, I didn't say it to him because I didn't want to cut down his dream. But I remember thinking, 300 doors, really? You want 300 doors? Like, oh, I'm going to be happy if I get 50. And I couldn't even think 300 doors. And so I challenge you to take that step. What would it look like if I had 500 doors paying me $30,000 a month in passive income? Like, do you think my confidence will increase? Do you think my respect will increase? Respect for myself and others? Do you think maybe I could teach people a thing or two? And really ask yourself those tough questions and dream bigger, because the bigger you can dream, and like this is something that my partner and I talked about this weekend. I learned a long time ago that bringing on a $10,000 investor is harder than bringing on a $100,000 investor or $200,000 or $500,000 investor, because that they're looking at you like you're their lunch, like you're gonna make me a millionaire. Well, it's a lot harder to take somebody with $10,000 and make him a millionaire than somebody who gives you $500,000. But somebody who has $500,000 also has a lot more confidence, belief in themselves, belief in the ability to grow. So they're not looking at you like their lunch, like your lunch. They're looking at you like, hey, this is somebody I could partner with and we could do great things together. They're looking at ways they can support you, and you're looking at ways you can support them. Like that's when it really gets into partnerships. So over the weekend, we're talking about, one fellow knows a group of people in Japan, their minimum investment's 15 million. They're lining up meetings for us with these people. Like those people make decisions a lot different than somebody who's offering you 10,000 or 100,000. So of course, as I learn that, I'm going to share that with you. If you're somebody who's just looking at, how can I get my first multifamily? Reach out to me. Let's book a strategy call. Let me help you. Sometimes it's not you being the active investor. Sometimes it's you being the passive investor and bringing other passive investors along. There's so many ways that you can build your wealth in real estate. And personally, I find it more lucrative, more fun, and everything to do it with a team, not trying to do it by myself, figure out everything all by myself. I love getting in a room with other people who will dream bigger and force me to dream bigger, even though if that night I go to bed and I'm like, oh my God, what did I commit to? This is so scary. But it works and it makes a difference. So if you're looking at buying your first multifamily, talk to me. Let's get on a strategy call and see how we can make that happen for you, and then we'll take it from there. So I'm going to sign off now. Oh my gosh, we went almost a half an hour today. That's wild. And if you want to start building that multifamily portfolio, reach out to me, book a strategy call. Start with the email, edna@ednakeep.com, and we'll take it from there. Good seeing all you guys on here today. I hope you had a really good, amazing long weekend. It's actually, for a lot of people, it's still considered a long weekend. My kids are home today, and so I know they've got some special plans that they want to do on their last day or on their long weekends. So we got some plans with that. So enjoy your day. Get some work done if you want, but sit back and really allow yourself to dream bigger. those big dreams, you'll be amazed how far they can really take you. So have a really good week, everyone. We'll talk to you all on Friday. Bye for now.